Good morning, and we'll congratulate the Minister on his appointment. As you know, Minister, during the general election only a few short months ago, housing was the biggest issue that came up on doors. And in terms of affordability, it was far too common to come across a number of generations of one family living under the one roof. People priced out of starting a life, breaking up relationships, putting a huge strain on families, and people really considering what kind of life chance they had to live in the area where I represent. And obviously it's a national issue as well. So I appreciate the opportunity to speak on the issue of housing this evening, and we have our own private members' time tomorrow evening on housing as well. And we're focusing this evening on the issue of affordable housing, and you've mentioned in your contribution there that you feel strongly about the initiating an affordable purchase scheme. Minister, what I want to bring to your attention, please, tonight are, and I know what you want is practical and positive suggestions. What I want to put on the record of the House and bring your attention to a rent-to-buy scheme. Now, a number of schemes were available before the crash, which I'm sure you remember, in the late 2008, 2009, 2010 period, which were affording people an opportunity to get on the property ladder. And these were all disbanded once the crash came. And the rent-to-buy scheme was available in Dublin City Council. I believe it was in Louth County Council as well, and there's a scheme in Northern Ireland. And I just want to speak to what the scheme entailed in Dublin City Council. So effectively what happened was you could rent at an agreed monthly rent of up to 20% less than the market rate of that area. Dublin City Council scheme. It went into a kind of a 3-year agreement with the council. And if you did decide to buy the property, 80% of the rent you paid over the 3 years, or a shorter term, but maximum 3 years, to the local authority was offset against the purchase price. And the purchase price of the property was agreed before you moved in. And one of the benefits of the rent-to-buy scheme is that you had 3 years to decide if you wanted to buy the property, if you wanted to continue to rent it, or if you wanted to walk away. And that gave people an opportunity, a first chance opportunity, not to have to rent and save simultaneously. And these are the couples we meet all the time and the individuals we meet all the time who can't afford to rent and save for a deposit at the same time. And they feel completely locked out. So do not have to find inventive ways of establishing a scheme where you don't have to rent and save at the same time. And the scheme was already there pre-2010. So what the Labour Party is suggesting to you, Minister, is that you start the scheme again. And it's not just in one local authority area, but it could be national. A similar scheme is in Northern Ireland, a rent-to-own scheme. Rent-to-own tenant doesn't own their own home. They're a tenant with a tenancy agreement. The rent-to-own co-ownership buys the property selected by the rent-to-owner and rents it to them for a market rent. The tenant has an option to buy it at the end of a 3-year fixed term. If you qualify, you need to show that you can make payments and you don't have an alternative route into home ownership. So this is the issue that we're trying to raise tonight, Minister, and I think it's something that is practical and something that you could take on board to deal with that locked out generation. And I think it's something that we could work collectively on across this House, because the schemes were already there before the crash. Now, of course, what happened with the crash is that overnight or over a short period of time, a huge amount of property became much more affordable to people of a certain income stream if they were still in employment. But these are the kind of schemes I think that we need to revert to and be happy that the state gets involved. As has been said, I don't understand the reluctance of successive governments to have the hand of the state hugely involved, if not solely involved, in the provision of housing. The state does not have a profit motive. And this is the issue when you're dealing with housing and you leave it to the market. The market has no conscience and the market has a profit motive. If the state is involved, the state doesn't have a profit motive. And also there's standards that we can expect from the state. and those who oversee the agencies of the state, be they local authority or government departments. And that's why, we would have much more faith in councils or local authorities or direct funding from your own government departments in order to drive these schemes. And I think those who could avail of these schemes would also have much more faith, because they would then understand or know that there's not going to be a situation where, in a private rented market or whatever, that they're going to be on the rough end of a tenancy agreement if things don't go their way. You can trust the state more than the market economy. So on that basis, Minister, we'll flesh out tomorrow night other issues that the Labour Party have in terms of the housing situation. But we would ask you on a rent-to-buy scheme, which, when I was going around doors, seems to be something that an awful lot of couples felt that they could potentially buy into. Don't have to rent and save. The two of them can happen simultaneously. Gives them a 3-year option, a 3-year chance, and then at the end of those 3 years, they make their decision. But it also gives some level, I suppose, of vision, some level of comfort for a period of time, and also isn't putting a huge emotional strain on a relationship or emotional strain on a family who really just want to move on and to live their lives. Gurmagh.